a really central role. So in our marketing business, which is where we aim to help brands stay stubbornly original despite the sea of sameness that is attacking us. I saw a podcast the other day that was completely AI generated, right? And part of me was excited to find out how did they do it. Part of me was terrified that a podcast, which is a trust building mechanism and often a mid funnel mechanism for us marketers, where we kind of build engagement and consideration, is now being done by people that don't exist. So are we fracturing trust, which is one of the things we measure at mid funnel, right? And we'll talk about the funnel and how the funnel in itself has been blown to smithereens, right? So I see that and I say, what part of this do I want to bring to the companies that we are now working with? I firmly believe that creativity cannot be held hostage to AI. And please quote me on this. I don't think AI can be more creative than humans. So for all of us here, the bar just became much higher. If you like something that ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Perplexity has done, frankly, the joke's on you. You need to up-level your creative thinking. Your design team needs to up-level their creative thinking. But does it help me with the inefficiencies of the workflow? 100%. Does it help me to scale faster? Yes. But what we tell the companies we work with the agentic systems, probably similar to yours, is that, look, don't try and do more of the same faster. That doesn't mean anything, neither for AEO, nor for GEO, nor for AIO, which is the final orchestration layer, right? If you want to do more, you're actually inviting more work to yourself, which means that while AI scales speed and efficiency, you have to think about becoming more effective. And later on, if we have time, I'd also like to talk about how we have used AI in our content business. So we are looking at being a very efficient content and data ecosystem for the micro drama production ecosystem, both in India and UAE. And we said, hey, given that we are starting end of last year, why can't we be AI first? AI first, but human fueled. So even we went ahead and said, if there is the potential of a couple of IPs to be really liked and picked up by platforms, why don't we give them a taste of what that looks like using AI, right? Now, why can't we predict into the future and say X scenes in X episodes will do insanely well, again, using predictive analysis, using, let's say, synthetic audience, and say, invite the brands to come in and say, do you want to invest in these scenes? So they will be like, yeah, but how do you know these will work? Well, we have done the analysis, predictive analysis, right? So very, very early stages, Harneet, love to hear more from the experts on this, on how they are doing. But may I just say that it feels like every day with this and these tools is a brand new day. Like I started doing AI workflow with this tool. I don't know if you guys have heard about it, called Blaze. And Blaze seems like 2010 right now. So it has like, and Blaze was just last year when I was really trying to manage my socials and all of that. So it's been an insane ride, but my message at the end of the day is very simple. Make AI your, I want to say, execution partner. Do not outsource your thinking to AI, because I don't think anyone gets smarter than all the humans that are on this call, either on camera or off it.
Lovely, lovely. Thanks for setting the context in a very energetic manner. They really appreciate and relate to a lot of things you are doing. First of all, kudos to you and congratulations to you on doing all that stuff. Happy to even chat more offline about this thing. But lovely setting the context. And I also say, as you say, AI and creativity, I also have a small joke on that, which we kind of say in our CEO circle, that AI still does not have a C, right? A for automation, I for intelligence. AI can automate things very well, as you said. It can automate, it can make things faster for you. And it has some intelligence, which is again an artificially engineered intelligence based on pattern recognition and all that stuff. But there's no C in AI right now. And creativity, design thinking, questioning what needs to be done. I guess that still needs to be sitting with the leaders, the humans, people who are invested deep down in the business, people who are having tribal knowledge. And that's where I believe new set of roles will come up, where these people who can instruct AI very well, not prompt engineers, instruct AI very well and figure out the gaps in the current business ecosystem society, and then deploy AI for that are gonna be the new winners. Again, a prediction, a hypothesis. With that, I move to Christopher. So, where are you using AI? Where are you seeing success of AI or failures of AI in your domain?
Yeah, thank you. So just to continue what you comment, Deepashri? How we pronounce your name? Yeah, Deepashri. Okay.
You got that
Yeah,
right. I love that the French always get my name right.
Perfect. So yeah, I don't think I tend to agree with you. It's not more creative than the human. Nevertheless, I found AI much better than me on some different things like writing. Maybe because I have a mechanical engineering background and not a journalist background. So that's I would say writing is not was never been my strongest part. And I think when you provide the good prompt and the good content to AI and so on and to Claude, and I want to make a case studies, and then I read what he wrote, and I am like, wow, okay, you are writing something that I am not able to write by myself, and this maybe I need to upskill, but I know where are my skills, and they are not on the writing part, and that's clearly I use it for many content creation, refining, SEO refining. When you say, okay, I love what you write, but nevertheless, this is my target in terms of SEO. You need to make those terms and so on appearing more often, and so on. And it's very, very good in making some very, very good content with the right SEO. I use it for image creation, even if my content manager don't like it. With Banana Pro from Gemini, I think for me is the best. Clearly, if you make a good prompt, it can make amazing stuff, amazing picture. Forget about text. I would say the failure will be on the text part. Don't ask him to write anything. AI is still not good in writing. It's still not good in making the Expleo well, the logos well, and so on. So ask to create a picture based on what you have in your mind, what you have in your imaginations, that you can bring the picture of what you want, and then it's very, 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 very strong. I'm always amazed, and Gemini, compared to others, is the one who can use existing picture and transform them. It's a personal story I made for my girlfriend, a Christmas gift, that she wanted to have a movie which is really about how you call it, extreme sports. And I took a picture of my girlfriend, myself, and my baby. And I asked him to make sure that we were landing from a parachute, from the stuff where you are, how you say parachute in English? The stuff where you are landing from the sky, from a plane.
Parachute,
yeah. He said, but I want to be in bath suit and arriving into a ski slope with the mountain and so on. And when you have the idea in your mind, and what AI can create, I say, if I give it to my content manager, she will took 1 week to create this picture, whereas Gemini and Banana Pro made 5 seconds to create such amazing picture, which was so realist, with my baby behind on my backpack and arriving, landing on the mountain with the ski. So just an example outside of work, but it's the same for everyday works. When I need a very amazing picture and I have an idea in my mind, it can create amazing stuff. After logo, so on, just make it without text, and then you can correct it using whatever the tool you want. Canva, even PowerPoint works quite well if you just to add a logo and add a text which is following your brand guideline. You can try. We try to teach him. We made a LLM to make prompt and pictures, not prompt, but to make LinkedIn post based on our prompt and the picture associated. We try to teach him all our brand guideline. Forget about it. He will never be better than my than my content manager. Clearly, in terms of picture, we're all disappointed. In terms of LinkedIn post, yeah, he can make some good LinkedIn post if you give him the good content. You always have to proofread it, make some small changes on what you want to highlight and so on. This is really good. And at the end, what is interesting and where we felt is that everybody are using only these parts to make the LinkedIn post. And so nobody were using the tool that we develop internally. I say, but why you are not connecting to this tool? I say, I do it on Copilot. We have the Copilot license to have the privacy into the Copilot, into all the marketing stakeholders, and trying to develop our own stuff. Everybody like, yeah, what I should go to your tool, whereas I just give the the context, the data to Copilot and ask him to write the LinkedIn post, and he's making very well. So you're I would say, and you copy paste sometimes some prompt, which is good if you have some persona driven. I would say LinkedIn post, and that you have sometimes engineering from our side or tech part of what you want to position yourself. But this you can do with the first prompt, and you copy paste it all the time, and you don't need to have an internal tool to make it. So this is where it's funny that we try to invest into things and people are using AI, but you say, yeah, I don't need a special tool to do it. We can do it with Copilot by yourself. So this is one of the, I would say, story you can say, yeah, you can use a lot, but no need to develop special tool. AI is doing by what is existing already very well. After we try to implement AI also, what is working quite well into filtering all the leads coming from our website. We have, because we have a lot of message, but we have a lot of spam also. And we are teaching him all the time and try to receive less spam, to have less requests to handle, because we have, I don't know how we're spending his time to send such a spam to the company. I have people, I receive emails saying, yeah, I saw your product catalog. Can you give me your product price and your delivery lead time?
Right.
We are not doing any product. Okay, we are doing only services. We are selling engineers. So the guy who is sending this for me, it's only spam, which are trying to block our email, our mailbox, and we try to get rid of all those requests by teaching our LLM, which is filtering the leads entering into our inbox.
That's working well for you.
Yeah, it's working quite well. We still have
what tools, what models are you using for that?
I don't know which one model is making it in place, because it's my CRM expert who is doing that. It's a good
within
question.
The CRM itself.
Yeah, because we receive through the CRM, and then it's automatically transferred to the marketers, and then between we put the filter of this chatbot that we are teaching all the time, and we need to give feedback, and we say, okay, look, one more email asking for this and this, which is not relevant. And we should filter as soon as the guy is talking about product and price of the product. You're on the wrong website. I'm selling juice of brain, as we say in our business. We are selling engineers or experts on some domains. We are selling juice of brain. We have no product and price and delivery or FOB price to communicate. That you are not on the right side, on the side of our business, at least, which is not always easy to promote when you don't have a real concrete product, but which is quite a challenge compared to my previous background. When you are selling products, I found it easier to promote, but it's the service company. It's another challenge. It's another business. So it's very interesting for me to discover that. And after, where we are using AI, if we are trying to implement it, for me, it's more on the reviewing stuff, summarizing a lot of. For content creation, generally you have big white paper, you want to make small extract and so on. But I use it, where I use the most today, it's on the lead analysis. Sometimes we are doing webinar, we have 400 leads, 500 leads. That's very complex to see which leads are the good one, which leads are not the good one, and so on. And with good prompt, and it's working quite well, you say, okay, guys, please tell me what are the priority leads that I need to pass to sales based on their company size, their job titles. The topic was cyber. So based on this job title, I want to have cyber leads associated, which are the priority one to treat and so on. And is very good. It's very good to find from the data that you have too much data in once, and then you need to prioritize. Otherwise, you will spend 2 months to deliver the leads to sales, and they're already cold. So we need to have efficient way of working on the lead, on the marketing side, and this is working very well. So after we are communicating with colleagues, exchanging what is working, what was your prompt, and so on. And sometimes you say, okay, your prompt is good, but mine, I did this and it's working better, and trying to see how. And is able to make Excel file. You say column A, I want this, column B, I want you have this data, and so on. And please remake a new Excel file or Google Sheet or whatever is able to do. Gemini is much better on doing Google Sheets. Normally, it's from Google. But I found it quite powerful the way he managed to sort the data and prioritize them, and really to tell you what are the top 10, 20, 50 leads that you need to prioritize. And yeah, that's clearly a way for me in the funnel, you are always like, you receive leads, you need really to convert, but you need to minimize the number of leads we are passing to sales. I'm reducing number of employee and salespeople all the time in my company. When I deliver them 100 leads, they say, Chris, why are you doing that? I cannot manage 100 leads this week. I have so many things to do. So we need to find a way to help us to prioritize them. I can do it manually, but what takes me 3 hours to do it, it takes me 5 minutes with the good prompt with AI. That's the amazing part. And after it's
yeah. That's like the intelligent automation use case of AI, where it can intelligently automate a lot of stuff, which was not possible. Because before AI, there was RPA, which can only automate on a rule-based scenario. And if your rules are bad, it can't really do that value. And then intelligence was there, but still with agentic AI, I believe the automation and intelligence is coming together, where you can intelligently automate a lot of tasks and do it better than humans. So lovely case studies. In the next round, after I come back from Entoin, I'd love to understand from you, in a B2B business, in an IT services B2B business, have you started seeing the referral traffic coming from AI or AEO, GEO, and what are you doing on that angle where you are trying to build your AI visibility? And do you see the leads coming from AI? And are you able to analyze the difference between AI refer traffic, regular traffic? I'll come to you in the next round of questions, just dropping it as a food for thought and question. And I'll go to Entoin for your insights on this. That what are the typical AI use cases in your domain, in your industry, in your marketing, where you are in your marketing field, where you are seeing the maximum success, ROI, or use case where you are finding the applications really, really wonderful. So your insights, Antoine.
Yeah, absolutely, with pleasure. Hope my connection is good and you guys can hear me well. I'll just take two really quick examples. So obviously, we at the NDR Sports Leagues, we have something like 1,500 games per year. So obviously, volume within these games, you have plays of 24 seconds each. So there's a lot of cadence, and you have 10 players on the court. So if you start doing the math, like it's actually a lot of volume, a lot of content, which is great. It's a great problem. The way we've implemented, I would say AI or like smart automation, I would call it that way for a long time, was by using tools that enables us to recognize the patterns of the players on the court. So what are they doing on the court? Are they shooting the ball? Are they passing the ball? Are they defending? What are they exactly doing on the court? Which part of the court are they situated in? Which team they are? Who they are? Their numbers, etc., etc. And from that, you have a system that automatically create all of each and every player's play with rich data, to the degree that you can say, over the past 12 years or 15 years, I want to have all the moments where player A is passing the ball to player B with that team at that part of the season wearing that jersey, as an example. And that video will come to you in a matter of a minute or two, maybe 2 minutes. And suddenly we're able to get much more out of the games, because it's at that scale, it's impossible to track absolutely everything, and to do that in the right cadence. And so that's a very powerful example of use case of us using AI and enabling us to tell stories, big or small, at every layer of the marketing funnel, from the very, very top players, big picture, to like maybe there's one player from one country, which is a small market, let's say, but you're able to capture everything he's doing on the court, because each and every pieces of what's happening on the court is filmed, transformed into data points that we can analyze and then put into motion to create that sort of dynamic content. The people that we're working with to do that is a company that you probably never heard about, but I need to name them because it's a fantastic company named WSC. It's very well known in the field of sports, but essentially the point here is like, if you have the right quality of data at the entry level and the right technology in the between, like the output in terms of storytelling, marketing, and content that is coming out of that is absolutely fantastic in terms of quality, scale, and velocity. So that's one great example that we work across more than 100 countries, actually. One that doesn't work, just to be very like black and white in the approach, or plus minus in the approach, is is the way we do utilize or design visuals using this kind of technology. And I will just explain that by naming a few elements within the context of, I would say, sports and entertainment more generally, which is the fact that you have a lot of IP. Obviously, I'm sure, Deepesh, you've been through that at either Amazon or Netflix, but there's a lot of IP component that we need to take into consideration and that we need to protect to a certain degree. In sports, the name for that is name, image, and likeness, which we call NIL, and which essentially prevent us to utilize AI to touch the appearance and the photos of the players. And so it's a good example of like what we can do at scale with large volume working very, very well, which is essentially organizing the content coming from the games that are filmed on TV, and what we can't do, which is like essentially I would say modifying or touching the image and likeness of players. And therefore there's a huge chunk of things that is fully automatized and can scale really, really well, but there's also some degree of our activities and marketing efforts that has to be done, I don't want to say the old-fashioned way, but in a more traditional approach, and where we can't do the nano banana example that Christophe was mentioning, or other of these things, which we can't do, again, for the reason that I mentioned, which is the IP and the image and likeness behind the player. So these are like two very different examples of like what we're doing at scale and what is working really well, I would say, across the field, not only sports but entertainment, and what can't really be done because of this limitation so far.
Perfect. I guess interesting insights. And the IP things. Yeah.
Just one point, it's funny that Gemini is trained also to protect this IP. Making the images, I have my brother and my dad, which are also soccer fan, and I wanted to make pictures with them on the PSG and the Paris playground with the tricot, with the shirts and so on inside of the stadium. No problem at all. And then I asked to add Platini, if you know, or Zinedine Zidane, the most famous French player, because my dad is Platini, is from his generation, and Zinedine Zidane of my brother's generation. And Gemini said, no, I cannot do any pictures of Zinedine Zidane or Platini. There is some name of the people of the image are already protected and taken into account into those tools, that to make sure that we don't use their image to do anything with those.
Exactly. That's a great example.
Yeah.
That would be probably the same if you do Star Wars prompt. If you say, "Oh, I want something in the," right?
Yeah.
So that gives me hope, and because both Antoine and Christophe mentioned this, there is just in the entire vertical drama segment, right, which is the micro drama, which is essentially what has taken the world over by storm, both like China and the US. What I read the other day was very disturbing, because a whole lot of these micro series being they're vertically shot, and each of them are maybe around 60 to 90 seconds or 60 to 75 seconds. And what Antoine and Christophe have said gives me great hope. And I do know that I owe no allegiance to Google, but I do know that even when Google Photos used to refuse to kind of enhance or rather make you look prettier or better, I think that trait carries over to them when they say that, sorry, I can't Photoshop you next to Zinedine Zidane, right? Which is great, because in the content industry, what's happening is, you recall I talked about AI generated content. So essentially producers that are good at AI filmmaking are generating whole series or whole feature films or whole micro series. And what they're doing is, because of the lack of regulations like NIL that Antoine just mentioned in that industry, because that industry is in its infancy right now, right? Like anywhere in the world, it's just about 5 years old, the oldest being China. People are using the likeness of famous actors and actresses who actually have never agreed for their likeness and image to be used, and are generating AI films, which they are then monetizing, which in any world order should be absolutely criminally illegal, if you ask me, right? So this NIL, the fact that has been put into place, it gives me hope. But I think because AI moves at a pace like never before, even infant industries, especially the ones that are showing the predisposition to adopt AI faster than traditional ones, they should have functions like NIL in place much faster than, let's say, even the traditional ones, which honestly will take a little more time to get in. So thank you, Anton, for giving us some hope that not all is lost.
You made a great point. You made a great point. I think there's a lot of rules and regulation that are that have to take place here, obviously, as for each and every relatively new industry and technology. I think you see that also very much at play with the music industry.
Can
If
you
you look at
be
what
a bit
the UMG
louder?
of the world are
I
saying.
can get
Yeah.
yes, your voice is feeble. If you can be a bit closer to the mic, maybe.
Sorry, is it me again or on it?
Yeah, voice is coming, but it is a bit feeble. For us, it's fine, but let's say for recording, it will pose a bit of problem if you can be a
Oh,
bit
okay, okay.
closer to the mic.
No, I was
Yeah,
just echoing what Deepash mentioned, in front of a lot of the technological evolution across the past 15 years, sometimes for the best, not always. And the way they approach that is very interesting, from the platforms to the music labels. And you have a lot of different research, analysis, and also point of view from the leaders of that field, which is very interesting in the way you protect IP at scale on both the platforms, so the Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer of the world, and the artists and the people who represent them, which are usually the music labels.
got it. Perfect. I guess, and what I'll say, because see, we can all not always rely on the larger language models for doing a lot of stuff, because even that's the mission in which with which I started Rapid AI, that own your data, own your AI, because essentially in the new world, right, technology is becoming a commodity. So your people, your process, in the people process technology framework, PPT framework, you only have your people and process, which will become your USP, because technology, underlying technology, is available to everyone. Now, how do you process the technology? What kind of processes and workflows you create, and the people, the kind of people you have, and what things they're doing? That becomes the moat of any company, any brand, irrespective of the industry. So it, and in technology also, it makes sense to not outsource everything. Basically, the model in the cloud is not optimized for you; it is optimized for them. So essentially, what we also have seen, there are some generic things, which should have there are some generic things which could have been done by larger language models like the Geminis of the world, right? But there are some business critical things like the recommendation engine for yourself. So Netflix can never outsource that to some other LLM model, even if they are capable of doing that. They'll want to build it. So the framework I have, or the learning I have, is, for example, so we worked with a company which was kind of to build their own campaigns and for lead generation and outreach and all. And they were a large, again, IT company as well. So they had two tasks to automate. One is, again, as Christopher, you were saying, it's more of the creatives creation, right? The creatives creation and localization of those creatives in various languages. So they were spanning all across Europe and parts of Middle East as well. So they wanted it in Arabic, Portuguese, Spanish, French, and all those languages, plus English. And the campaigns, the advertisements, the mailers have to go out and all that stuff. So one was that layer, which probably they can do. So we suggested them they can do that with any large language model as well, right? Whatever, Nano Banana is good for images, right? Gemini is good at translation, and a couple of other models. So mixture of experts model, they can really build it. Another thing was what kind of the campaign intelligence. So basically, what kind of my people in the my mailing list are replying at what times, what kind of emails are sitting really well with them, and all the personalization kind of inputs we get from the mail campaigns. I call it campaign intelligence. That way, you are able to figure out what kind of lead and customer or person in your database, prospect in your database, is interacting with what kind of communication message, how they are engaging with the brand, and what to send them next. I guess that is a very intelligence heavy layer which you cannot outsource to a general purpose model. So for outsourcing, for using the model for an image creation or a content creation where you know what needs to be done, that's fine. But using a model for intelligence or building those predictive algorithms for your pipeline, for your lead generation, that's a suicide. Because number one, it will not be accurate. Number two, you won't have a USP. somebody else can also use that intelligence, right? And it is, sometimes it's also a compliance issue that if you are kind of uploading or giving access to that kind of data from your data, if you're a financial company, if you're a healthcare company, or your client is that, so then it becomes much more of a havoc to manage. So that's where we kind of came up with, or we kind of follow this approach of hosting our own models, right? Hosting these small language models, open source models, and fine tuning them on custom use cases, and then building applications on top of that, which has given us a better ROI, because owning that layer of intelligence, number one, you can then completely audit what kind of data it is doing. Second, it becomes explainable AI. Third, you always have a USP that nobody else has access to your intelligence. So you can very safely kind of delegate your intelligence to that model, and that model tomorrow can be used to make business critical decisions, or not entirely with a human in the loop. That model can be used to make business critical decisions, whether it's about spending money on ads, or running a campaign, changing a campaign, uh, conversing with a customer, sending what kind of proposal. I guess these are all business critical decisions which AI can really become as a data analyzer and a option giver to you. But that AI is something which can't be a general purpose AI. It has to be very specific AI. So this is what kind of we have observed. Uh, so shifting gears a bit. So if we move to the content creation part and the SEO or organic marketing part, or rather, I will say the visibility part. So all this AI world started with Google's paper in 2018, which is attention is all you need. And that led to transformer architecture, that led to the Claude, and that led to everything, right? So we say that when we were looking at the marketing domain, and since we've been working on this for long, we said for marketeers, it is okay, attention has a technical term. Visibility also has a new term. So we say visibility is all you need. So the next phase is after attention, visibility is all you need. And if AI does not know your brand, you are the dinosaurs of the AI world, right? And eventually so we have done a huge research for 10,000 plus, with 10,000 plus marketeers, and across almost 10 million plus data points with how customers and users are engaging with ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini for finding brands and all. And the insights we found were very, very intriguing. Number one, in the Asian countries and in this part of the world, people don't, 85% of the people don't even third ask or second ask AI recommendations. So, for example, if AI is recommending something, let's say if you're searching for who's the best insurance provider for my car and all, and you're in a particular region, particular this thing, and whatever brand show up, most of the users don't ask a follow-up question and tend to go to the first four referred people or people who are visible over there. Second insight was a lot of traffic is shifting to here. So Google is now doing Google AI overviews for more than 50% of their queries, right? ChatGPT is having a 800 million to 1 billion kind of monthly active users. And then you have your another 80 million people with Perplexity. And these are the kind of monthly active queries or traffic which is happening on these platforms, which is small compared to the larger traffic of the entire search world. But a lot of conversation is shifting from 3-4 word searches that find this keywords and all to an entire context where people are telling, I am this guy, I love this kind of sports, this is what I want to buy, suggest me options. Or if you, let's say, as a company head, as a founder, I'm saying, oh, we are this company, we tried to implement agentic AI, this is the problem we found, can you suggest some solutions, how do I find this kind of thing. So these are the kind of queries which are going as an input inside a lot of these ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google AI overview queries. And in our study, three categories of queries came in. Number one was how to queries. So how to do a certain thing is what people are asking AI most, and brands really need to figure out a way to fit inside that. So for example, if you are a Dell or Lenovo, right, one of them happens to be our client, uh, or some other PC brand, so people are not really searching for the best PCs out there. People are searching for if this gets bad, or more of a troubleshooting kind of scenarios. So you or your brand or your name really needs to appear over there, because that is where you are kind of generating your visibility. And similarly, if you are a travel brand, right, who's telling people are searching for how do I plan a budget trip to Italy, right? How do I plan my honeymoon trip to Amsterdam, whatever. So this is the kind of context which people are asking for, and they're not just asking for tell me a best travel site, tell me a best this thing. So eventually, so you are leaving in turn. So maybe yeah, final notes from your side. Maybe I'll just quickly one final answer from your side, and then maybe you can drop off and we'll continue for 15-20 more minutes. So what is your take on the AEO GEO side in your industry? How is it changing the search AI dynamics?
Trust, I don't think we've seen yet that change deeply, because in terms of volume, it's still pretty much within the social platforms and Reddit where it's taking place for us when we really look at volume. I think, to your very good point, it is happening, but the pure like search element when the brand is very well known is probably slightly less immediately impactful, but I think that will come. What we clearly see in terms of the way fans discover us, are discovering us through the different journey they could be through, is at first on the various platforms, from social to what we would call entertainment platform, or sharing platform. So that is still, in terms of volume, massively the journey in terms of when we look at the fan funnel acquisition. But to your very good point, I think that's happening. Just like for us, volume wise, it's not yet major.
Not much, yeah. Perfect. Thank you for being with us. So Antoine has to leave.
Thank you so much.
But we'll continue with the other guests. Thank you, Antoine, for making it. Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. So I'll continue the study I was sharing. So 1/3 of the queries were how-to queries, where people are asking how to do certain stuff. And then there were queries like, help me do this stuff, like help me write an email, help me create a proposal, help me do this for me, right? This is the kind of queries that people are asking. And the brands who have that kind of relevant content, for example, people are like, help me create a content calendar for myself, help me create a marketing strategy. So HubSpot is really creating that kind of content to be present over there, where the AI is itself recommending, we are creating your calendar, but this is as per the HubSpot framework. We're creating your this thing, but this is a reference coming from HubSpot, right? So for a lot of other CRMs versus HubSpot sleep, it's not the old SEO playbook which will come into the picture. You really need to have different kind of content, different kind of structure, and different kind of technical optimizations you need to do on your site and overall visibility. So AI is and at the same time, we have seen there are smaller brands who are coming up and showing up, who are not there in the SEO world. Equivalent amount of times, we've also seen larger brands who were good in SEO, but sometimes not being visible in the AI searches, AI prompts, and all that stuff. So this is something which is the case or context. Would love to hear your insights, your questions, or your observations around this AI traffic, AI visibility, and AI search site. Yeah.
Sure. Oh, wow, you have opened up a can of worms. So let me tread carefully on this, because I know it's relatively new to a lot of us, and especially to, let's say, everyone that's battling with exactly what you said. I'm glad you brought that up. There was a time not so long back, maybe even until early last year, when it was all right to kind of buy keywords and sort of rank highly in the SEO SEM rankings right now. And we thought we were getting it right, and we were the last mile attribution, the last mile click, etc. We were really going after all of that. And I think our biggest pain at that point of time was marketing modeling attribution, and that nobody could get it right, including myself. Let me just be the first one to say it, right? Now, let's say, Harneet, I think you'd agree that the entire, with the advent of these AI-led frameworks and tools, the entire playground of search and how a brand shows up organically and otherwise has completely altered. So bear with me as I share my understanding of how, as a marketer, we should stack essentially when it comes to AI-led search and discovery, right? So to me, the very basic of it is GEO, right? Which is I don't want to say same, but it's kind of similar to what SEO, the traditional equivalent of that is, let's say, SEO rankings, right? What is GEO? Generative Engine Optimization. So essentially, it's this not simple but simpler art of getting your brand cited by name specifically within an LLM generated content, like let's say ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, all the stuff that you mentioned, right? Now, while in the past it was all right to kind of go and bid for keywords and kind of really rank high in that search, that's not going to happen anymore.
True.
And that, as someone is essentially using AI, and you spoke about it, to scale content production, analyze data, predict trends. Now that's the orchestration layer, right? That's the master that plays the symphony. Can you get one person to play a symphony? Never happens. It's called an orchestra because there are multiple tools that you are building as a stack to what we used to call it Netflix, create a jazz band. So you talked about HubSpot. And in fact, I was actually researching HubSpot just yesterday. Jasper is also pretty good. But I do agree with you that HubSpot, because they have been a content marketing engine for so long, they get it more intuitively. But Jasper is also coming up, right? So essentially, AIO, the trap, I should tell about the trap as well. The trap that we often get into is because you are like, oh my God, 56 tools. I can do more of the same faster. Doesn't help you, friend. Your AEO and GEO is built on uniqueness and stubbornly unique points of view. If you can't show up as unique, you will not be cited. You will not be linked in the search to answer questions. So use AIO as the ultimate stacking of multiple tools. And I'll leave you with one last thing. I think for the longest time, or let's say for the first 6 months, we were all brainwashed into thinking that we absolutely need AI, and whatever we need, we should just, like, it's as if a tsunami is coming to us and catch the first driftwood that comes at you, right? Now let's take a step back, take a deep breath and say, what are the problem use cases in my business that I'm trying to solve? I have found 3. Okay. And I'll come to Harneet for one and say, Harneet, do you have a solution? We have a partner in the US that does a brilliant job of solving probably case 2. When we work with a third client, we discover a third. Let's say we are working with an infra client down south in India. His problems are very unique. I may not have a solution, but I may have 2 parts of the solution. I may need to get 2 more. So essentially, let's stop freaking each other out. Right? Let's find what the problem in your current business is and what do you think the future problem could be. And then start deploying your AIO layer, your stacking or orchestration or your playbox layer accordingly. Let's not get 72 tools to solve the problem. But having said that, I sound like I'm very sorted. Trust me, I have used and paid for 72 tools, and only now I've realized, okay, these are the good ones. And these are the ones I don't need to waste my time and money on. So some of us need to do the grunt work for the others to not do.
Correct. Very right. So even, see, when Agentic AI was coming in, I was still surprised. Why are people still worried about tools?
Yeah.
See, the world is moving towards platforms. So at IC Pluto, what we did was, in this platform, we integrated all these tools, the SEMrush of the world, the Googles, a lot of free tools, a lot of paid tools. Eventually, we're not concerned about the tool. We're concerned about making your KRA meet. If your KRA is to get more organic traffic, there are 3 things you need to do for that. Maybe you need to do a lot of good, fresh content generation. For that, you need to know what is your current content, what is your competitor doing. For doing that, I'll have various tools, competitor analysis, web analysis, and all. The Agentic AI orchestration layer will decide what is the best tool. And maybe today something is best tool for searching competitors. Tomorrow it is somebody else. Third day is somebody else. Why do I have a marketer? I as a marketer have to worry about that. If AI can add real value, it is that orchestration real value, because AI can work for me 24/7 and figure out what is the best thing in the market. And my KRA is my North Star, which is I need to build organic visibility for my site. And then I use AI and corresponding tools for figuring out where am I standing in the market, right? Where am I visible? Where is my competitor visible? So all the data, the insights, it should give me. All the things I need for meeting my KRA, it should give me. And for that, whatever tools it uses, it should decide autonomously and it should become smarter with me. So that's where our mission was, that no platform, there are, as you said, there are 80 tools, there are 100 tools, there are thousands of tools which have come up since past, probably 15 years. And in the past 2 years alone, there are another 1,000 tools which have come up. And all of them claim to be the AI universe, right? But it's like, why do you build another tool? I need something to be built from a use case POV. Me as a marketer, most of the marketers have a organic traffic problem. Most of the marketers have a best paid traffic problem. Most of the marketers have a content generation at scale problem, right? Or they might have a visibility problem, authority problem. So based as the problem, can I figure out workflows, and AI itself chooses the tools. So this was the
Exactly.
philosophy we were working with, and very, very much relatable to what you said. We are still yeah.
And I think what you rightly said is let's say how as marketers we always plot the customer's life cycle or the consumer's life cycle. We need to plot our
life cycle,
our own life cycle, and say where is the gap. And the problem is in a day-to-day grunt of running the business and getting campaigns out and ensuring metrics are met and money is optimized, the most important thing. There is no time to do that. But let's say, for example, in Christoph's case, he talked about sussing out or filtering out forensically almost which leads are important, right? That's his problem, right? The same marketing team in his company is facing the problem that you talked about.
Yeah.
So the organic traffic that's coming is good, but that's not the organic traffic I want. Right? So how do you get forensic about it? You get forensic about it when you ask the right questions first to yourself. You can't ask the questions to AI because AI doesn't know your business as well as you do, which is why I know it makes a lot of us, including myself, very uncomfortable. I have learned to take a step back and say, listen, you are asking whoever, Gemini and Claude are my current favorites. You are asking these questions to them. Do you even know if these are the right questions? Right? Is that the problem of the business? Like, for example, we created one trailer and then we created our producer in the Middle East. Thanks to him, in 2 days, we created an Arabic version of it, because the Arabic version of it has to be way more nuanced in terms of clothing, in terms of language, in terms of, just the way people look at each other, right? Now, we had to really step back and say, is that a necessary step? Why are we doing it to essentially come across as people who operate across multiple markets? 100%. That took us 2 days of debates and discussion to say if it was worth going down the Hicksfield credit rabbit hole, right? So what you said and what Christoph said to me is it's important to sit with the team and identify where are the gaps in the business. That's number one. Accept that the metrics are changing, as is the consumer, because discovery is completely fragmented. There is no funnel. So the next time I mention a funnel, please shoot me. And thirdly, accept that today's HubSpot can be tomorrow's Jasper. Are we okay? And I have no allegiance to either. So pardon me, I'm just using them as an example. Or are we going to come to, let's say, you and say, this is my problem. Build me a stack that is right for me. Right? Now, that adaptability comes difficult with, I have been in a traditional company for the first 5 years of my career. And I can say that I'm not talking for it, but I'm saying it'll be difficult to say, but we have all these systems we invested in.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to that? I don't know. You have GEO, AEO, the bread, butter, jam layer I just explained. Do you want to wait for your systems to service that? Or do you want to get ahead of the situation we find ourselves in? Right? So
Lovely.
that's the
That's the right question to ask, and that's the right problem to solve for people like us.
Yeah,
Great.
exactly.
I'll thank you, Deepashri, and I'll come with the final question on the table to Christoph. So, your insights on all the discussion, if you want to add anything to that, and also the skills of tomorrow. What do the marketing teams of tomorrow need?
Let me unmute myself. Yeah, if you stay on the GEO, as I didn't mention on our parts, we are in terms of metrics, we are measuring, of course, what is coming from the AI platform. We can see that a small increase are coming. It's very small volume, but it's also very small volume because we are invisible in the AI platform. So
Pluto
So
can help
I
you with
think
that, being visible.
so. We just hire a new GEO expert manager in UK to help us to be more visible. Because it's we know it's the challenge. I read a lot of articles saying by very soon, by 2027, normally you should have more traffics coming from AI platforms and from organics flow.
Right.
So
Regular search engines.
yeah, that was interesting to read. And you say, okay, it will come. It will make more organic, more AI platform volume should come from AI platforms and from the organic visitors. But for this, you need to place yourself as very good to appear. And just after this meeting, I have a meeting with all the marketing team when we have been asked to do more question and answers on our webpage, because there is a lot of the AI platform loves to have question and answer and the way structure like this. And my next meeting is about that. Is okay, which kind of question and answer, what could be interesting for our customers, that's what they are asking, and what we can put in our website to increase the chance to be visible, because they were measuring. They were measuring or how we are visible, but with shitty prompts, where they was always mentioning the brand. And I say, what do you think, Explo Nanani or Explo is good for? No, guys, this is not how our customers are asking questions. They most of them, they don't know us. So we need to appear in the question and say, which is the best engineers for autonomous drive to develop autonomous drive for my company? What are the best company which can make this or that? And this is what people are asking, or which company can help me to do this and this? And they are not already mentioning your brand name into their question. And I say, I don't give a shit that I am in the answer of ChatGPT or Gemini if I already put my name into the question. I say it's bullshit. They say you have to ask questions to those platforms without our brand name and try to appear in the answer. That's our challenge.
Yeah.
And they are like, yeah, okay, Chris, that's I think you're right. And so they say, I have no doubt that I am right on that. That's you are faking the result by putting already the name of our brand into your question.
Yeah.
So that's clearly my next meeting of the day, and that's why we have a new expert into that, saying to help us. After we already had a lot of webinar stuff like this, where they are taking the source from and so on, is interesting. Like to see like ChatGPT is always taking data on Wikipedia. A lot of answers are coming from
sites as well.
On the top, and we gave up, I don't know, 5 years ago, because we tried and our page was always cancelled and we didn't see the point in being in Wikipedia. So everybody canceled forgot this project, and we are not in Wikipedia. And you say, or sometimes I have the German branch, I'm also responsible for Germany on top of engineering in the world. And then they said, no, but we have a Wikipedia page. Yeah, you have a shitty Wikipedia page. You even don't mention what you are doing. It's not from this Wikipedia page that we will find that ChatGPT will find us. You are not saying that you are the best in testing and so on, in software testing. You are fucking good in so much of that shit that you don't mention it. You are not mentioning that you are working with Sartorius, you are working with Allianz, you are talking with the main company in Europe to do all their software development and testings and so on, and automation with AI. All of that, that's all your strengths, your USPs. No, they are not in Wikipedia. So yeah, you have a page, but this, and as we say in French, P in the violin is the same. That's just useless. So yeah, there is a lot to do, I think, to be visible, and we are just at the beginning. And mentioning that it doesn't bring a lot of traffic, like Antoine said. Yeah, it does, but it doesn't bring a lot of traffic today. But I think we have to be realistic and ask ourselves and make the prompt that, okay, if we never appear there, it's normal that there is not a lot of traffic coming out from there. So now the next question is how to appear from generic question, and our brand are the first ones mentioned, or at the top 3, the top 5. I know the GEO, those likes to be in the ranking. If we appear in some papers that your brand is ranked at the top 10 of the companies doing this and this, you have a chance that you will appear. But it's not only that, as you say, Dipashri, it's a lot of, it's like a jazz band where we need everybody as to play a role. That you have, okay, it's good on this website that you are mentioned on the top 20, but you also have to question and answers to be answered. You have to make good content that are interesting, that's people answering customer. I think the best example is that I did a white paper with the SPICE. I don't know if you know SPICE. It's a specific norms for software development, which is more automotive related. And there was a new automotive SPICE 4.0 beginning of last year. And we make a self-assessment for this. Is the cheapest cost per lead? Nobody will beat me on that one, because since I just invested into 2,000 euro on Google SEA to be temp ranking on this. And as we are answering a lot of questions and how people can see by and estimate by themselves, make a self-assessment, or where they are on those SPICE norms and what they have to do and so on. Oh, and I made it in January, February 2024, I think, 2024, and I still receive leads every week.
Wow.
So I put 2,000 euros at that time. If you type SPICE 4.0 on the France or Germany or UK, you are still on the first page on the Google search results. And you go, because this, and I am forcing, but it's difficult to have experts making such a paper. And I'm trying to push them, say, guys, look at this example. It's the best one. We are making a self-assessment paper where people it's very useful for them. So you have I have people from Volkswagen. Volkswagen is a huge company. I have people from Volkswagen, a new one, I think at least 2 or 3 per month, downloading this white paper since 2 years and more than 2 years, because you make content which is useful. It's not only making your brand on top and showing off your brand and so on. No, there is content, and at the end, as we are the experts who write this paper, people are coming back after writing, yeah, we saw this and so on, but can you help us to make us ready for SPICE 4.0 ready on our next development? And this is really on this content, and you have to think about how you can be. This is how is internet today. People are looking for answers, and how you can create content which can be useful for your target audience. That is the main point, and you can see really the result when you achieve that is amazing. And we are too much focusing sometimes on making our brand visible. Yeah, making your brand visible. Your brand is there, but it's not because your brand is there that people think that your brand can be useful for them. If you help them and having useful stuff, I think it's like goodies. Shitty goodies that are useless for me are just a waste of money. Try to find the goodies that people have on them all the time, that they remind your brand every day. And that's sales guys who find the ID, and we made a key finder. A key finder Expleo branded, and those I've seen many customers who love it and have always our brand into their keys, because when they lost their key at home, they just take their phone and make ringing the key finder of Expleo into their house to find where they lost their key.
I'm gonna steal that idea. That's lovely. Pluto will also receive key finders, and I'm like, apart from fixing,
everyone needs it. Everyone needs it.
You will
No,
fix your loss.
if I may just make one last observation to what Christophe said. Content marketing, and I have been in it for a very long time, started with Singtel, never got its due, okay? Because everybody is like, yeah, but it doesn't generate leads. And then I used to say, guys, it's like a marriage. It's not a fling. You have to constantly be at it for you to see results. Exactly what Christophe is talking about, right? The very definition of content marketing is create pieces of content that are relevant to the brand, but extremely valuable to your audience, and doesn't ask them for a sale immediately. That's shocking. To the sales team at Singtel, they were like, sorry, so you're just going to generate a white paper and not ask people for to buy our product? I'm like, no, there is education. There is consideration. That phase, remember that phase, we are humans, we are not machines. I feel conversely, with artificial intelligence, 2 or 3 different kind of roles and functions will get the due that they deserve. One is content marketing, right? Because to Christophe's point, anyone in a complex business that people don't understand have to have done enough good content to have even been found for get cited by the AI engines, right? That's number one. Number two, if you notice, some of the biggest companies actually hiring content marketers and storytellers now. And I'm thinking back in the day when I was actively in it, where were you guys?
Today,
Right?
OpenAI, Claude, everybody,
Exactly,
Perplexity,
exactly.
everybody's.
Because they
I
all
think,
realize the monster that they have created. And
yes.
the last bit is, I remember when I was halfway through my Netflix stint, and there was a raging debate on brand marketing versus performance marketing. And I don't know why it should be a versus, but you're always asked to pick sides, right? So obviously the immediate results you can see with performance, and I'm like, yeah, guys, but it's two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Another much um, let's say much not regarded function will see its light in the day, which is brand marketing, which is if you haven't built a solid brand, good luck to you, either getting discovered
Anything
or
is
cited.
relevant.
Yeah, so I'm ready with my popcorn and I'm like,
To watch this movie now.
what's this movie now?
Lovely, very interesting. And just to add to Christopher's points, I guess very lovely. By the way, even for doing this, that what are the questions? So I have a framework which we call as the CST framework. C for content, S for structure, T for technical, right? So even Pluto's platform is built on that structure. So what it does is, one, it searches for all the prompts which are getting searched in your domain area. We have that first party data, we have third party data. So for example, if you are in IT services in automotive space inside France, right, in English and French, what are the kind of most things people are searching in your domain? So you create your ICPs and then you search that. Then second step, what our AI does is figures out on a daily basis who are the people who are getting cited and who are getting mentioned when basis the user queries and buckets of prompts which they are asking. And this is sans your name. This is without your name, because that's the thing. Because you cannot put branded keywords, then AI will find your website. You have to search it without Explio. You have to search it without Capgemini, without an Infosys, without a TCS, without a Accenture in it, right? So that it does that, which are the brands organically in a particular region, in a particular category of subsets, which are getting visible. So it could be that for some domain in testing, let's say Explio is up, but let's say in SFDC or automotive engineering, Capgemini is up. So that kind of real data you get, and which prompts are ranking you there across platforms, across GPT, Gemini, Google AI Overview, and Perplexity. We have 10 plus model support, but majorly these are the 4 models. And then it figures out what part of your website is good, which is getting cited, and what part of your website is bad, which is not getting cited. Then it comes to the structure and technical part. So then it tells maybe this page is missing FAQs. You have a chance, you have an opportunity which comes on your platform. That's where your content team can write, that particular thing, and it can tell you these are the white areas where you don't have a content, your competitor does not have a content. Maybe it's better for you to go write some stuff. So that kind of gap analysis it does on a daily basis, on a weekly basis for your brand. And then your team can write the content, do the PR, create those assets on Reddit, YouTube, own channels, earn channels. Both of them works for AI. And as Depshri was saying, it's a symphony where everybody has to be saying same thing about your brand or similar thing, right? Your social media, other people, your G2 Capterra reviews, right? And your Trustpilot reviews and all. So whatever information about which is out there about your brand on internet, it has to be very, very consistently saying that you are the best in this. And if AI finds that kind of content and credibility, it remembers you, it ranks you. And second thing is specific queries. You can always engineer. There are some tactics and strategies where you can fool AI as well for a short time and get the benefit from it. We have done it. And then there are some smart strategies where you can kind of build your visibility for a long time. So happy to even talk offline about that. But I guess that's something which every brand specifically who's serving digital products, they need to be out there when people are finding it in AI. So, and of course, there are some caveats as well, some things which a lot of LinkedIn gurus promote, because I guess another thing, Deepashri and Christopher, which I have realized between past 15 years and last 15 months is with other technologies like industrial revolution, electricity, and even internet, they were not, social media was not there. So a lot of people we're humble enough to understand we don't understand it, and we will probably try to figure it out. With AI coming in, with this internet thing, the caveat is everybody thinks that they understand AI.
Yeah,
And every time
absolutely.
something comes, with a Claude launches something, some new technology is invented, everybody floods the internet, the news, the articles with that they know what's going to happen. But the reality is nobody knows that. And people can only project patterns of the future by looking at the past and looking at the technology's power. So I guess all of us are in this together, and there's a lot of noise. Finding signal in the AI world is very, very difficult, and that's where we work towards. And we kind of get insights from people like you as well to share on this platform and other platforms. That what is the signal where people should move forward. So happy to even continue this conversation offline with both of you. I guess really enjoyed this conversation. Uh, Discussing a lot of things from AI, from Christopher's your stories of how you kind of impress your girlfriend with an AI generated image. That's a quick hack. I'll also probably steal that. Your key finder thing. You have a lot of small hacks. So I have a lot of French friends, right? They always are very good at some workarounds, and some innovative things they have which nobody else could even think of. Is it even possible? French can do it, right? So I'll probably borrow a couple of things from you on that. But overall, I guess very interesting insights on where marketing is headed. And Dipashri, your thinking, your structured approach, and your experience with Netflix, Amazon, and working in AI, plus the humility with which you accept where you are, where plus your bread butter jam, of course, right? It made me hungry already. So I guess those insights were pretty wonderful, and even with Antoine's insights were pretty interesting. And the best thing is we all are coming from very different worlds and very different industries. Still, the problems and challenges are very similar. The noise is very similar, and the signals have to be found in a similar way. So thanks to all of you. Thanks to both of you. One final lines from you before we wrap this up. Thank you for making it, and we'll keep continuing our discussions offline as well.
Thank you for having us. And I really enjoyed this session. And I think one last thing from me is what I started by saying, that as human beings, we have the capability to be extraordinarily original at what we do. Let's not lose that. Let's also, like Harneet said, not be threatened by AI and all the supposed expertise we see on LinkedIn and Instagram and every other platform. I am very happy to admit that every day I'm learning, and whoever claims to be an expert, I have serious questions for them. So my request to the community would be, perhaps let's be a little more humble as we learn together, because I don't know who it serves with this fake expertise that a whole lot of us have got going on. Sharing learnings and failures is a way more approachable and honestly a far more valuable way to build this community, because I think frankly at the end of the day we are all trying to learn, and like we say, in the same tsunami we are all caught. But yes, the last thing is really just keep your thinking, your originality intact, and I honestly think you have nothing to fear with AI if you don't lose your originality.
Lovely. Thank you, Dipashri. Christopher, final thoughts? You had to unmute yourself, I believe. Yeah.
I'm sorry. So I am with you. It's very good to share insight and learning and failures and tips and so on. We can always say to my team, yeah, guys, 1 tips per day. Everybody has his own tips using Word, Outlook, whatever, PowerPoints. They say when you are with somebody, they say, oh, you can do it also this way. And they say it's like sharing always the knowledge and so on and exchanging. And I always say to my team, yeah, try to have 1 tips per day to share with your peers, and that's everybody will get smarter at the end of the week, and we can all learn from each other, from older, from younger. We have always different point of view, different way of doing things, and always some tricks and so on, even with AI on the prompt and so on, the way we do it, the way we use it. So we have often session internally and say, oh, what you did, what is working, what is not. And it's interesting to have also other people from other companies, very big companies like Dipashri is working for and with great experience. So it's always interesting to exchange. So it was a pleasure. and I will go to my meeting of question and answer for the.
All the best for that. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. And whenever you have time, I'd love to show both of you the demo of our product.
For sure.
So would love to get your feedback and see if you can find any value in that.
Absolutely. I'll get in touch with you via Rhythm. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Christoph. Bye, Arlene. Bye, Rhythm.
Thank you.